Hello friends, and welcome to Vinmaps Studio, where we explore and taste wines from around the world. And today we're going to be delving into the fascinating and alluring 2017 Radici Taurasi from the world-renowned Mastroberardino Winery and Family out of the Campania region of Italy. So I was recently working on a new Italy map, which is coming along quite nicely, mind you. And I was doing some labeling, some editing in the Campania region of the map, and all of a sudden this memory flooded me of purchasing and enjoying fully this Taurasi Aglianico wine from Campania. And this was at a time when I was actually studying a little bit of Italian, the beginnings of Italian, mind you. And I thought, just thinking of that memory while I was working on the map, it's like, well, duh, just do the next video on one of these wonderful Aglianicos from Campania. So here we are tasting this beautiful Radici, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the Mastroberardino family, and then a little bit of the geography of the area, of course, and then we'll be tasting through this beautiful wine. So off we go to Southwest Italy's ankle of the boot. Campania is considered to have one of Italy's most ancient viticultural and winemaking traditions. The region itself is steeped in a rich history. Considering its geographical location, it's also interesting to note that it's experienced many economic setbacks, certainly in contemporary history. So it's rather fitting that we are speaking today a little bit about the Mastroberardino family, as they have been staunch forerunners of revitalizing and rejuvenating this area in terms of winemaking and viticulture. The Mastroberardino family have been in the Irpinia area of Campania for over 2 centuries, growing wine grapes, and making wine. So this family really is an historic bastion of wine grape growing and winemaking in Italy. Their family estates are located in Irpinia within the cradle of 3 DOCGs, Denominazioni di Origine Controllata e Garantita, Greco di Tufo, Fiano di Avellino, and of course, Taurasi. The village of Atripalda is where the family originally settled in the mid-18th century, and this is also where their ancient cellars are still located. Okay, so if I didn't mention Antonio Mastroberardino, every Italian watching this video would be immediately offended, I'm sure. And of course we are going to mention Antonio Mastroberardino, as he is considered as the founding father of modern day winemaking in the Irpinia and Campania region. Okay, so we're not doing a history video today, but we certainly could be doing that, as this area is just fascinating and it just exudes historically rich facts and data. So it's very tempting, but we don't have time. Suffice it to say, the region has seen myriad colonizations and occupations through the millennia, whether it be the ancient Greeks, the Etruscans, the Romans, and that's just to name a very few. But I kind of like to think of it as each of these groups have somehow offered up something that has added to the texture and richness of the territory itself through time. Okay, so today we are exploring this 2017 Radici Taurasi, and Radici meaning roots in Italian, so it seems natural it's a nod to the Mastroberardino family's roots historically in the region, as well as to the Aglianico grape variety, perhaps the native ancient grape variety, and Taurasi, of course, referring to the DOCG boundaries from whence the grapes originated. Okay, pour some of this while we delve further. Whew, beautiful. Wow. That is gorgeous. So an interesting tidbit regarding the southern boot, if you will, of Italy is that this is actually one of the places that the ancient Greeks were referring to when they said Inatria, land of wine, which I think is rather fascinating. So Campania is very interesting geographically as well. So just briefly, it's located between the 40th and 41st latitude north, faces the Tyrrhenian Sea, and from the rocky cliffs of the coast further inland, where we have hills and mountains and valleys and plains and varied topography, different altitudes going on, and of course Mount Vesuvio is one of those mountains and volcanoes. The topography is varied and the altitude can range, and this affects maturation rates of the grapes and acidity levels in the grapes and all those things. So it's really interesting, fascinating geography. Okay, so now to the wine. This is 100% Aglianico, Vitis Hellenica, as it's also called. And the DOCG status of this definitely means that it has to have at least 85%, I believe that's the number, composed of Aglianico. But most producers do use the Aglianico 100%, at least in this region. So Aglianico is a thick-skinned grape, and it is late to mature and ripen, doesn't like hot temperatures, and so the altitude of some of these vineyards is critical to that. So you have the diurnal shifts and a slower ripening and maturation rate going on. It is both high in tannin and acidity, and so it is often referred to as the Barolo of the South. Interestingly, the Aglianico grape does best in hilly, volcanic, clayey, and calcareous soils. So guess what? This is perfectly sited for growing. Couldn't be in a better region. These grapes were sourced from the Monte Marano and Mirabella Eclano vineyards. The Monte Marano has southeast exposure and the Mirabella Eclano has southwest exposure. The average altitude here is 450 meters above sea level, just to give you an idea. And this wine gets a long maceration time with the skins at 25 days at a controlled temperature, and then sees time in French barriques and Slavonian oak barrels, 24 months, and then another 24 months in bottle. This wine is very high in tannin level, and that is why it can be laid down, depending on the vintage, for up to 20 to 50 years. Okay, the time has come to really delve into this Radici. I'm very excited to be doing so. Okay, let's look at the color, shall we? Wow, this is like clarified ruby red, the pinnacle of ruby red color for a wine. Just beautiful. Depth of color, it's gorgeous. Oh, getting all kinds of earthy notes in here, aromas. Some spices going on, erupting, if you will. Small red berries. Maybe some flinty notes. The Italian, the Taurasi terroir, if you will. You really get the earthy aromas going on. Okay, let's give it a swirl, sniff, and a taste. Definitely tannin there, and I can see why it can be laid down for a bit. Even this is a 2017, but right now I'm loving it. It is mouth enveloping. It's got a long balanced finish. There's a lot of complexity in here that still needs to erupt, still needs to come forth. Red and dark plum, raspberries, Definitely some roasting spices in there. Some chocolate tones as well. Very velvety, elegant mouthfeel. Just gorgeous. Just lots of layers of depth and complexity going on here. And lovely balance of the tannin and acid and the taste. Beautiful, elegant wine. I would definitely recommend this for special holiday get-together, celebration with friends, birthday, what have you. Or, you know, it's $65 a pop. Got this from wine.com. If that's your speed, go for it any night of the week. But this is a spectacular Taurasi wine, and I feel grateful and lucky to have imbibed it. So thank you, Mastroberardino family, for making such a beautiful wine. This brings us to our conclusion of this tasting experience, and I would very graciously and gratefully ask if you would subscribe to our channel. We are currently, may seem like a small number, but hey, you got to start somewhere. We're currently reaching for 100 subscribers. We're over halfway there, and would really appreciate your subscribe and a like if you enjoy this content. And drop me a line in the comments. Tell me how you liked the video. Share with me which Italian varieties you really enjoy, whether they come from Campania or Basilicata or Piemonte, what have you. I would love to know which varieties you really enjoy. As well, if there is a particular topic of wine or a particular wine that you think we should feature in one of our videos, please share that with me. I would love to hear. For now, Suzi Perez, Vinmaps, signing off, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have found it enjoyable, and I hope you've found some tidbits of info that perhaps you didn't have before. With that, cheers, saluti.